Okay, hello everyone. This time I'm doing a little bit different. I adjusted the camera where I'm hoping that it is more wide angle. It's supposed to be a feature of Android phones. And I also adjusted my equipment to where the bracket was not in the frame of video. So, oh, here's a person looking for golf balls. I think this is hilarious. So people, hit rough golf balls into the rough all the time, and they lose their golf balls, and they just bring extra and go with it. And these people, it's just like a healthy hobby. They walk along the rough areas of the golf course, and they find golf balls. And some of these are in really good shape, and from what I understand, they clean them up and put them together in like packs of 12 or whatever and sell them on eBay or I don't know, whatever site for roughly $1 each. So it's kind of like out there walking around looking for dollar bills, I guess. I should do it more for the exercise. They even have these things that are like these wire mesh roller baskets. I've got one back in my garage. I'll show you in a video where you can just reach down and pick up the ball. I bought it actually a little bit larger, but I think it works okay for golf balls. There's ones that are size optimized for golf balls though. But I got it to pick up oranges because I used to have an orange tree in my backyard, and it was prolific orange tree, and you could not keep up with them. And so what I did is use that device to pick them up and throw them away, throw them over the fence. Why? Because they were the worst tasting oranges ever. I realized I had to adjust the soil, the chemistry, but where this particular tree was in the middle of my patio. It was a horrible place for a fruit tree, especially a large one. Now maybe a small one, it was probably cool years ago, but it was a cutout of my patio, like a little triangle cutout. And I just think with all that concrete around it, it's just not good for the soil because, concrete, the cement part of it, it's a chemical reaction that happens. There's also all kinds of stuff in there. You never know what they poured in there. You can shift the chemistry of your dirt quite a bit to where you can't hardly recover from it. And those oranges, they were just bitter. I had some guys at the house working from Mexico, and they told me that particular style of orange is what they use for marinade. They don't necessarily eat the orange, like good sweet Florida oranges you can, but it was great for meat marinades. So, okay, I tried a little bit of that, but the problem is it was located about 4 foot from my swimming pool. So I chopped it down, and it is now a combination aloe vera and habanero plant garden. It's doing very, very well. I'm about to transplant some jalapeno plants over there that I've grown in pots over the summer, and one more habanero plant, and so that'll be a pretty cool little garden. I got about a half dozen aloe vera that I bought from somebody in Arizona, and they're doing quite well. They survived the storm and other things. So it's evening now here on the golf course. There's still some people playing. It's Saturday. Been a beautiful day. I spent most of it in the pool. My wife and her mom and her daughter went to tour my stepson's new college, Houston Baptist University. Hey, I want to show y'all all these trees that fell during Hurricane Beryl, and these people have not been able to clean it up. I know this is part of my last video too, but that video, like I said, I had elements in the scene and had the wrong angle. But this is a lot of trees that have fallen and they have not picked up. And I guess they're saying it's the city's responsibility, which technically, where you see that fence line, that is where the homeowner's responsibility is. But I think it's roughly 10 foot past there. So a lot of times you'll see them mowing the lawn 10 foot past there. My fence was actually inset some, and I redid it, set it out. I had to get HOA approval and all that. And they actually come and watch the work by drone. But look, there's some pretty big trees that fell. Now you can see their roof got compromised and their chimney. Mine did too. I got a new roof coming in 2 weeks. New chimney coming next week. Doing the chimney first, of course. But look at all this. I mean, this is basically huge old growth trees, right? All dead and gone. But this has been laying here for a month now. I mean, and this golf course is municipally owned. It used to be operated by the HOA, but went to Austin, and a group went to Austin and lobbied for it to become part of Missouri City. And but look at all this. I mean, it tore their fence up. See how their fence is destroyed? I mean, what if you had a dog? You'd have to do something about it. I should have come and surveyed some of this damage right after the storm. I'm surprised a month later it's still sitting out like that. This neighborhood was without power for about a week. 8 days for us. That was a rough 8 days, but I had a generator, portable one that my daughter loaned me, and it really opened my eyes to the benefit of having a generator. Hey, here's some eBikers. Or they may be eBikers. Hello, hello. So technically you're not supposed to ride on the golf course during golfing hours, which is described as dawn to dusk. Now these guys are fishing out there. Isn't that something? Let's talk to them. Hey, how's it going? Y'all catch anything?
No, we haven't got anything yet.
Yeah.
You ever fished here before?
No. But I see all the ducks going from pond to pond,
Yeah.
and I know that's how the fish eggs move, right?
Yeah, we figured there's gotta be something in here.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Thanks. I just don't think there'd be many fish in that pond. I mean, it is true what I said about the ducks, but it's so hot. And so you know what happens with bodies of water that are not spring fed when it gets really hot? It loses oxygen. The oxygen actually, the dissolved oxygen in the water, it begins to escape the water. And so that's when it gets kind of murky, like a different kind of flora takes over when the oxygen leaves. It's all part of nature's decaying process. Now, if it's spring-fed, it's a different story. But none of these ponds are spring-fed. All these ponds on this golf course are for irrigation, and they're to use for the pumps to source to spray the lawn at night. In fact, I'm out late enough where it might kick on, and the pumps are very high pressure, and the streams go like 30 foot. And I mean, if you get hit, it's a serious stream of water. And I have been hit at night riding a bike. It's actually pretty cool to see. I'm surprised they're not fishing on the body of water I'm about to show you It's loosely connected to Oyster Creek and Lake Olympia. Now, I would think there'd be more fish up here, but what I also don't know for sure is what is legal. I don't know who regulates that. For some reason, I'm thinking the HOA doesn't want you fishing in these ponds, but because you don't see a lot of it. But to me, a couple guys out there just seeing what they can catch, that's no big deal. Let them have some fun. But I mean, if you saw 30 people lined up decimating the fish population, that'd be different. There's these old rickety bridges. They reinforced it with these, I guess they're 2x8s. They're 2x12s maybe. But even there, if they're not really well treated, they just don't stand up well. It is all treated now that I'm looking at it, but I don't think it's top quality stuff. They need to come seal it from time to time. There's a lot of alligators out in this body of water. Beautiful, but I would not swim in it, I can tell you that. Because when I talk about gators, I'm talking about big ones. They go after the ducks and the fishing birds and turtles. They eat turtles like popcorn. Look at this Doberman. Hey, buddy. He wanted to chase me. Those Dobermans, they're not so popular now. But in the late 70s, early 80s, they were the pit bull of the late 70s. Everybody wanted one because they were, considered a bad dog. I never had any problems with them, but I've been around dogs all my life and just kind of knew how to handle them. You know what the best thing you can do if a dog's messing with you? If you're around gravel, pick up a handful of gravel and throw it at them. They don't like feeling like they're being attacked in more than one spot. That's the one thing that'll turn a dog around, if they feel like there's more than one attack vector going on. That's some kind of survival thing. Somebody explained it to me, and I think I used it one time and it worked well enough where I thought, maybe so. This is a beautiful scene right here with the sunset overlooking the water. It's an interesting body of water to me because they evidently don't allow any kind of motorized engine on it because you just never see it. You don't really see much on the water at all, but sometimes you'll see a canoe or a kayak. I see some old holdover paddle boats. I mean paddle boats, right? So you sit in it and you pedal it like a bicycle. The blue fiberglass. They were real big with KOA campgrounds in the 70s. And I see some people who had them here. Like, I don't even think you can buy those anymore, but maybe from Timu or something. Hope everyone had a good Saturday. I spent most of it in the swimming pool. And got a little bit of exercise, but I really like getting out on my bike. This is the AWA Big Sur. It's basically like a cruiser. I think they technically call it a mountain bike, but to me it's a cruiser. Electric assist, 750 watt. Well, I think it's Baywang. I think they call it Baywang. Hub motor. It's got a lithium-ion battery pack. I think it's a 48 volt one. So you're not going to get like the blazing Sur-on speeds out of this bike. But it runs real well for me. It's got a torque sensor, which I've went over in other videos. Basically, there's two types of sensors. There's a cadence sensor cadence is like it just sees if you're pedaling. It looks at the speed that you're pedaling, I guess, and it provides a certain amount of torque assist, and it's fixed, right? So no matter what, if you're in pedal assist 1, you're going to 10 miles an hour. Now, if you're cranking a little harder yourself, you might get it up a little bit faster, but the assist is always focused on a certain amount, of a fixed amount. I'm showing you these homes. Make sure I don't go over the hill here. I mean, it's technically waterfront, all these houses. And they've got bulkheads to prevent erosion. You see people have piers where they can fish. And there's one of those boats. You can see it in the distance, paddle boat. Holdover from at least the 80s. I just couldn't call that waterfront. Even though it technically is. But you can't get out and go anywhere. You just buzz around here. Have to be careful at night because they rope off a lot of the golf course to make sure people don't do exactly what I just did. I'm going to break off the golf course here and head to the city part of this ride. So a torque sensor measures how hard you're pressing on the pedals, how much torque you're applying to the sprocket, and it assists accordingly. There's 5 levels of assist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I tend to keep an assist on number 2, and it's an 8-speed gear also. And I keep the gear around 3 or 4, and that's a really nice, easy ride. Not pressing too hard, not pedaling too hard, going about 13 miles an hour. This bike can go 20 miles an hour on just the accelerator and no pedaling. And with pedaling, you can get, if you pedal hard enough, you can go 30 miles an hour. To me, 30 miles an hour on a bike like this is fast enough, man. I'm a big old guy, and that's a lot of inertia. And I don't want to put anything to the test. Right now I'm just using the throttle, and here's 20 miles an hour. No pedaling at all. Very pleasant ride that way. But it does chew up the battery. I'm at 95%. When I turned this video on, I was at 100%. So all this distance I've come, I only used 5% of my battery. Of course, I pedal a lot, so the more you pedal, the less it provides, right? And so the less energy it consumes. So if you're feeling good and want some exercise, you can pedal and really conserve the battery quite a bit. I have taken pretty good journeys, like 15 miles one way, then turn around and come back, so 30 miles round trip. That's a long trip. And by the time I got home, I was at like 20% battery, 25. And the last part of the ride, I was tired, and I just used the throttle the last few miles. I was bummed out, man. It was heat of summer, midday. Had fun though, but that's a long ride. I think if I pedaled consistently, here I'm crossing Highway 6. Now this is that part where, some people criticize me for riding in streets and, around cars and stuff, but I am pretty good at navigating on a bike. Been riding bikes all my life. I'm conscious of the speed. I don't want to go too fast because you got people like this. It's not their fault. They're just making a turn that you didn't anticipate. Sometimes in situations like that, the people get very upset with me and they come chase me down, tell me how they almost killed me, and blah blah blah. And I just kind of laugh it off. If anybody's asking me, like how they should respond or whatever to, how cars are moving, I always tell the drivers of cars to just do what you're doing. Like, don't adjust for me, because I'm adjusting and I'm much more nimble, responsive, and I've got a pretty good idea of how cars act. I guarantee you have no idea what I'm going to do. I've just got way too many options. Cars only have so many options, right? And it's kind of like playing poker. When I see a car, they got about 2 or 3 things they can do, and I'm deciding what's the most probable, and I'm trying to adjust on that. And that's happening really fast. I'm updating fast when I'm navigating around cars, right? Someone driving a car, they just cannot adapt to what I'm doing because, it's just too much. So I tell them, just act like I'm not there and just do what you're doing. I will avoid you. I guarantee you. I like riding in parking lots at night because they're well lit and relatively low traffic as you approach 9 o'clock. It's 8:24, so people getting their last minute shopping in. Parking lots are usually pretty nice and smooth, not a whole lot of potholes. Well, we've got I don't talk politics too much, but we got the Democratic convention coming up, and I think they're afraid something's going to happen, which probably a pretty good reason to feel like that. There's a lot of feelings about this election, and I think a lot of people feel like they're not real happy about all the options in front of us. I know that it's been very like if on the left, on the Democratic side, I know it's been very frustrating for people for a multitude of reasons. I'm, more on the conservative side, especially when it comes to the financial side. But, on the Democratic side, like I'll just say this, it's very obvious that Joe Biden had cognitive issues, and you know what? It's not his fault. Like it happens when you get older. Some people age out faster, and Alzheimer's and dementia sets in, and there's nothing you can do about it. We don't really have much you can do about it right now. The best medicines out there, the best treatment, the best doctors can maybe slow it down and maybe make it plateau, but that's arguable. So, like Biden aging out and slipping into dementia land, like that's not his fault. And I know that Biden was sharper than that. You can go back and watch his earlier videos. And I'm not talking about his political views and whether they're right, wrong, or the whole super predator thing. I'm not judging all that. I'm just saying that he was sharp. He was a sharp guy for a long time. And then he aged out, and dementia set in. And I think it was cruel whoever was pushing him forward. I'm gonna look at these electric chargers. I think it was cruel who was pushing him forward. There's a charge pod, charge point. Electric vehicle charging only. Get a charge while you shop. Please customer service if you need a remote access card. Well, that's cool. One's working, one's not. Those are so slow though. I mean, they're damn near useless. It depends if they're 30 amp or 50 amp. Like I'm assuming they're 240 volt because the electrical lighting out here in the parking lot, it's usually going to be 277, so it'd be easy enough to drop 240 off there. I don't know. I'm not real big on all that. If anybody knows, say something. Leave me a comment. But I think you could drop 240 off of the 277 poles pretty quick. If it's 30 amp, it's relatively slow charging. 50 amp's a lot faster. I know this because I'm having a 50 amp 240 volt installed at my house. If I can ever get the city to issue a permit. Right now they won't issue a permit. I'm going to go look and see what's going on with this shopping center. I think they built it on spec. That means speculation. And nobody moved in. And so what amazes me about that is, like, somebody's paying the taxes and the insurance. Somebody spent all this money on all this space. And best I can tell, all this is for lease. For lease, for lease, for lease. Now we have one place here, Parodontics and Implant Dentistry. And they just mint money there. If you're doing implants, man, you're just folding $100 bills all day long. But they're the only tenant. So there's a few stores up here a little better. The Happy Crab Cajun Seafood. And this guy's just wherever I'm at. Oh, and here's Specs. So there's 2 Specs by me. Specs is all at Strictly Go Fancy Liquor Store. Got an eye clinic, orthodontics, dream dinners. What is that? That must be like meal prepping. Oh, it's Super Grills. Okay. And here's LA Fitness, but nobody's here. Is this place closing down? Or they just have limited hours? There's a physical therapy place. The rest of it's all up for lease. I'm gonna go check that LA Fitness, see what's up. Somebody looking all shady over there. I'll leave them to it. Golly, boy, they make this tough. That's some kind of kids clinic, kid care place. We got this lone Tesla sitting there. So here's LA Fitness. I mean, it looks like it's up and active. I'm just surprised to see it closed so early. Let's see if we can see the hours. Saturday closes at 7. Closes at 7 on the weekend. And there's a Smoothie King on the inside. It's not bad. Ooh, rode off that curb, didn't even realize it. It's got a good suspension on this bike though, so. So I didn't notice it too bad at all. Yeah, I'm just surprised by the shopping center. There's just not much going on over here. I bet these tenants that are here, I bet they are prized. They probably don't ever go up on their rent. I mean, think about it. There's electricity to each one of these buildings for the life safety systems. Man, they're not even built out. There's not even drywall up. I can see the studs. It's a really nice neighborhood back there to the back of the shopping center. You'd think there'd be enough people to support stuff, but I'm gonna start heading back to my neighborhood. Here's a Planet Fitness. I'm wondering what their hours are. 24 hours, 5 days a week. That's an interesting schedule. Let me go look at that. I'm very interested in gyms that are close by because I'm paying too much for one that's far away. And it's time to optimize. Let's see. There's a couple people there right now. It's 12 a.m. Monday to Friday, so 12 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday. Shouldn't that be 12 p.m.? No, it's 12 a.m., so I guess they open at midnight? That's crazy. And then Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Here you go. Oh, look at that. Am I reading that right? 12 a.m. Monday to Friday. So that's at midnight to Friday, midnight to 10 p.m. So they close for 2 hours. And then on the weekend, they're from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And they call that 24/5. It's pretty nice. You can see all the equipment in there. Not too crowded. What a weird hour. Like midnight. We're open from midnight to 10 p.m. So I guess they shut down to clean or something. Yeah, so I'm paying for Lifetime Fitness, which is the family plan. Comes in over $300 a month. And I don't go that often. Between the swimming pool and my bike, this is how I get most of my exercise. And they were building one a lot closer to us, but it ended up being like a premium level. So if I go there, I got to pay like $410 a month. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'd rather be able to eat. So I'm kind of at odds with my family right now because everybody wants me to keep it. The kids like it, right? I say kids, they're grown adults or in their 20s, living at home. Biggest shock of my marriage. This is a second marriage for me, coming up on 5 years. And when I married her, I really thought that these kids would be out on their own by now. Like, for one thing, like they really like their dad. Their dad lives on the East Coast, and he doesn't like the mom. And there's all kinds of drama, and of course he hates me. And it's awful. I don't even want to get into it because I don't sound too negative, but it's really toxic. Like, they've been divorced for like 12, 14 years, like a long time, and they're still fighting like they just got divorced. And I'll say that it is largely on her ex-husband's side. He's the one rampaging. Like all these texts he sends me where he's like threatening me, and he tells all these weird lies to his kids, and they love their dad. You know, like, what's wrong with loving your dad and like believing him when he says something? That shouldn't be. You shouldn't find out that your parents lie to you, right? But they tell them all these weird lies to try to, you know. Oh God! See, I said I wouldn't talk about it, but I think this guy, at the end of the day, I think he wanted to be a better father. And he had a really bad history, like his dad, like you're not allowed to talk about him. Like he just like he doesn't exist. No one will get a DNA test. It seems like nobody wants to know their genetics, and it's all about his dad. So he's got a stepdad that he treats like his dad, and, you know, but something happened. Somebody got abandoned or something. I don't know what, but this guy, work hasn't been his strong suit. And I think he got, like, just a little intimidated by me, which is pretty funny because I managed to stay working. I mean, I was out of work this year. I got laid off. I was out for like 4 months, but I mean, I turned down jobs. I was waiting for the right job to pop up. And it did, and I'm back working. Nice remote role, I'm happy. And I had a little break, but to tell you the truth, while I was off work, my job was to find a job. And I took it very serious. I was very busy and a lot of interviews, and it was a fun process, but it's grueling. But so this guy, like, you can't always pay for stuff, and instead of just like being happy that somebody like me showed up that would basically pay for everything, he just got confrontational about everything and pulled some real sorry moves, like when my stepson was about to start college, baseball college basically, and it was very expensive, and student loans wouldn't pay it, so it was out of pocket. And I think our part was going to be like $25,000, right? And we had to come up with 10 in the very beginning. So I'm talking about 25 total. He actually got a scholarship to it. So the total burden that me and his dad were going to have to carry was 25. And we had to come up with 10 to get him started, right? And so his dad had agreed to pay half. And when I approached him about it, I knew that, sometimes money was tight for him and all that. And so I said, hey, just pay what you can, and I'll cover the rest. And I meant that. Like, if all he could do was give me $100 a month or whatever, I was going to let it happen. And he goes, oh no, I'll pay my half. He goes, I just need a few weeks to get it together. I'm like, okay, cool. I understand that. You got money in different places, you got to move it. So the day that it was time to pay, he called me and he goes, I don't have any money. I'm not going to be able to come up with anything. I know you won't want to let him down, and I know you'll pay. And that day started a real confrontational, very toxic situation, and it just escalated, and it was awful. It was some of the worst stuff I ever seen in my life. And throughout all this, I would say that my stepchildren largely sided with their dad. I think they have reevaluated their positions and are now a little bit more team mom. A little bit, not all. And they're definitely not team stepdad, I'll tell you that. But that's a complicated thing. Let me just say that, I love both my step kids, and I see a lot of good in both of them, and I'm actually not that critical of them, even though at times I think I've had reason to be, but I actually, think that they can and will do good, and are, but they were a little bit more team dad than what you would think for what little dad did for them, like nearly nothing. If I told all the stories, you would cringe, and I don't want to put it out there in the world, but let's just say that I was a little shocked that they were so hard on mom, right? And relationships with stepchildren and stepdads and stepmoms, it's complicated anyway, but the one thing to keep in mind, that if the real parent doesn't give the step-parent permission to be the step-parent, all you are is a concerned adult in their life. You are not the stepdad. You're not the stepfather, especially late in life. Look, I'm talking about, I showed up when the daughter was 18, the boy was 16, somewhere around there, right? And they're in their early 20s now. And, their dad never gave them permission. Like, he never did say, hey, listen to your stepdad. He's trying to do the right thing. Instead, he's just waged this war against his wife. And I'm talking about screaming and cursing and calling me and trying to tell me all these things about my wife. Like, it was just like, like why he divorced her and how I'm going to wake up to it one day. It was just awful. It was an awful thing to do to a newlywed couple, And there's some reasons behind it. I'm not going all into everything, but let's just say that the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's biblical and it's true. And I see it play out so much time. And it's not money. There's nothing wrong with having money. Money gives you options. Money is freedom. Money is energy. And it's been flowing through this world long before we were here, and it will flow in this world long after we're gone. But it's the love of money that brings us all down. And so find something else to love. You can have all the money in the world, but find something else to love. Because if you, well, I'm going to get off my soapbox about it. But I said all that to say that when I first married my wife, I thought these kids would be gone by now. Because they were teen dad. I mean, I can give you the whole rundown, but they were teen dad. And so, if you're teen dad, why won't you go live with dad? Like, I get prior to 18, the court gets involved and all that. But, why wouldn't you go live with dad? And, well, there's a reason why they can't go live with dad. Dad won't allow that. And because he don't want to pay for things. I shouldn't even speculate. I'll just say that I'm shocked that all these years later, and there's no hope of anybody moving out. It isn't like, oh, they'll be moving out soon. Like, there's no hope. I'm caught in millennial hell, I guess. And anyway, it's tough with these blended families. I've learned a lot. It's lessons I never wanted to learn, and I thought with a late in life marriage like this that I wouldn't have to learn it. But it's been fun. I just, I like to see people get their independence and self-reliance and get out there and become somebody on their own. And, I liked living at home too. I like my mom did my laundry and made my lunches. I loved all that, but it just, there's a point where you got to get out and get something. Or else you're not going to be prepared for the real world. See, this is why I'd rather take the golf course, because there's just so much traffic. Probably all DoorDash deliveries. That's the main thing. It's like I tell my wife, like, what if something happened to us? We have a total of 5 kids. 3 of mine and 2 of hers. And like, what if something happened to us and they had to be on their own tomorrow? Like, that's it. Like, they got to figure it out. And yeah, there's, there'll be some money trickling down and whatever, but we're not rich. There's no generational wealth here, so what if? Who's ready? And that's my only point. Like, get out there and do something. Like, I remember when I was a young man in my early 20s, like, guys that I worked with that were my age, I heard, very similar stories that, they had to get out and go do their own thing, and they had kind of been on their own for a while. But, when I was that age, I was in the pipe fitters local apprenticeship, union apprenticeship. And so, sometimes people enter those because of family ties and all that, but they're generally needing to go to work more than going to school. And so I explain that because it's probably a slightly different data sample, if I were to go across all kids, in a generation. Maybe there was more staying at home a little bit longer, maybe. But it just seems like now it's like really common for people to stay home. And that's fine until you have to do for yourself. Adulting sucks with taxes and insurance and responsibilities. That's why you get an apartment first. You don't have to worry about anything. Just change the light bulb out. They even have to come change your filter. All right, I'm gonna bring this to an end. Nice long night ride. Hope everybody's doing fine. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.